The Day Humanity Arrived at the Galactic Council with Battle-Stained Ships, Part 1. First Contact Gone. Wrong Captain Natalie Moore stood on the bridge of the USS Intrepid, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Through the view screen she watched the stars stretch and blur as the ship's FTL drive activated. Humanity had finally broken the light barrier after centuries of scientific advancement. It was humanity's greatest achievement, and she was at the forefront. "Drive stable, Captain. We're cruising at 5 times light speed," reported Lieutenant Greg Wilson from the helm. Natalie nodded. "Maintain course to the Proxima Centauri system. I want all sensors at maximum range." The small fleet of 5 Earth ships followed behind the Intrepid. They were explorers first and foremost, but the unknown dangers of space meant they were armed. Better safe than sorry, the UN Space Command had decided. "This is a historic day," said Commander Paul Davis, her second in command. "First humans to leave our solar system." Natalie smiled. "Let's hope the neighbors are friendly." 3 weeks later, the fleet approached an unnamed star system at the edge of explored space. The initial scan showed promising signs: a habitable planet with traces of refined metals and artificial structures. "No radio signals," reported Lieutenant Jack Porter from Communications. "But those are definitely artificial structures on the third planet." "Life signs?" Natalie asked. "None that our sensors can detect, Captain. The place looks abandoned." Natalie made a decision. "We'll send a probe first. Prep shuttle teams for possible surface exploration." The probe launched, transmitting data as it approached the planet. The abandoned city structures looked nothing like human architecture. Curved spires and interconnected domes spread across the landscape. "Fascinating," Dr. Lisa Newman, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, whispered. "Our first alien civilization." The excitement on the bridge was palpable but short-lived. "Captain, new contacts," shouted the tactical officer. 3 vessels just appeared from behind the moon. They're moving fast." Natalie straightened. "Hail them on all frequencies and bandwidths. First contact protocols." Jack worked his console, frantically. "Broadcasting peace messages in all formats, Captain." No response. The alien ships accelerated toward the human fleet. They were sleek, predatory vessels with forward-swept wings that glowed with an eerie purple light. Each was 3 times the size of the Intrepid. "They're charging weapons," reported the tactical officer. "Energy signatures off the charts." Natalie didn't hesitate. "Shields up. All ships, defensive formation. Continue broadcasting peace messages." Before Jack could confirm, a beam of energy lanced from the lead alien ship, slicing through the USS Explorer, the smallest vessel in their fleet. The ship exploded in silence, debris scattering across space. "My God," Paul whispered. 80 people. "Just all ships, evasive maneuvers," Natalie ordered, gripping her chair as the Intrepid banked hard. "Return fire, defensive only. Target their weapon systems." Earth's vessels scattered, their point defense lasers firing at the alien ships. The beams dissipated harmlessly against purple energy shields. "Our weapons aren't even scratching them," the tactical officer shouted. Another beam cut through space, catching the USS Discovery along its port side. The ship didn't explode, but listed badly, venting atmosphere. "Get me a channel to Discovery," Natalie demanded. Captain Ryan Miller's face appeared on screen, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "We're hit bad, Intrepid. Engine core is critical. Evacuating to escape pods." "We'll cover you," Natalie promised. She turned to tactical. "Focus all fire on the ship targeting Discovery. Full power to forward shields." The Intrepid shuddered as it took hits meant for the crippled Discovery. On the tactical display, tiny dots representing escape, pods launched from the damaged vessel. "New idea," Natalie said. "Helm, plot a course between the 3rd and 4th planets. Tactical, prepare to launch all missiles at my command." Greg looked confused. "Captain, that'll take us dangerously close to the star's radiation belt." "Exactly. All ships, follow our lead." The human fleet dove toward the inner system, the alien vessels in pursuit. As they approached the radiation belt, Natalie gave the order. "Now, all missiles, set for proximity detonation." Every Earth ship launched its complement of missiles, not at the alien vessels, but into the radiation belt itself. The explosions triggered a massive solar flare, a wave of charged particles that washed over the battlefield. The alien ship's purple shields flickered and failed as the electromagnetic pulse hit them. Their systems momentarily disabled. They drifted. "Hard about," Natalie ordered. "All functioning weapons, fire." This time, Earth's lasers cut into alien hulls. One smaller vessel exploded while the other two began evasive maneuvers as their systems came back online. "They're retreating," Paul said with disbelief. "No, they're regrouping," Natalie corrected. "Jack, any progress decoding their communications?" Jack worked frantically at his station. "They're transmitting massive data bursts. I'm capturing what I can, but the encryption is like nothing I've seen." Natalie made a hard decision. "We've lost the Explorer. Discovery is crippled. We need to retreat and warn Earth." As the fleet turned back toward home, Jack suddenly straightened in his chair. "Captain, I've partially decoded a transmission. It's coordinates and a message to their homeworld." "What does it say?" "It's calling for a purge fleet." "Captain, they're planning to attack Earth." Natalie's blood ran cold. "How long do we have?" "Based on their communications, 3 months, maybe 4. The bridge fell silent. Humanity had reached for the stars and found monsters waiting, but Natalie saw determination in every face on her bridge. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," she ordered. "We need to prepare." As the damaged fleet limped home, Lieutenant Porter worked day and night decoding more of the alien transmissions. They learned the aliens called themselves the Kravak, a species that considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution. To them, other intelligent life was either a resource to be harvested or competition to be eliminated. They had exterminated dozens of emerging civilizations before. When Natalie delivered her report to the UN Security Council, she expected disbelief. Instead, she found grim acceptance and immediate action. Old national rivalries were set aside as humanity prepared for its first interstellar war. As shipyards across Earth worked around the clock building and upgrading vessels, Natalie visited the memorial for the Explorer's crew. She placed her hand on the cold metal plaque listing the names of the first humans to die in interstellar conflict. "We won't let them take our home," she promised quietly. "Humanity has been fighting for survival since we climbed down from the trees. These Kravak have no idea what they're in for." She looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there the enemy was coming. But humans had one advantage the Kravak couldn't understand. Humans had been fighting each other for millennia. War was in their blood, and now humanity would fight together as one. The day humanity arrived at the Galactic Council with battle-stained ships Part 2. The United Defense Admiral Daniel Harris looked out the window of the orbital command station. Below, the blue marble of Earth rotated peacefully, unaware of the danger approaching from the stars. 3 months had passed since Captain Moore's fleet returned with news of the Kravak. 3 months of frantic preparation. "Status report," he said to the room full of military leaders from across the globe. "General." Linda Warren from the North American Alliance stood. "The orbital defense grid is at 87% completion. We've converted 152 civilian ships for military use and built 63 new warships based on the Intrepid design." "Not enough," muttered the Chinese admiral. "The Kravak will have hundreds. Quality over quantity," said Captain Natalie Moore, recently promoted after her actions against the Kravak scouts. "We've made improvements. Engineer Wright, update on the shield modifications?" Susan Wright, a brilliant engineer who had been studying the damaged Kravak ship recovered from the battle, stepped forward. Her red hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes showing how little she had slept. "We've reverse-engineered parts of their shield technology," she explained. "Our new shields should hold against their main weapons for 300% longer than before. We've also improved our targeting systems to find weak points in their hull design." "And weapons?" asked Admiral Harris. "We've fitted the new fleet with high-energy plasma cannons," Susan replied. "Based on their technology but modified to work with our power systems. Less powerful than theirs but more focused." Dr. Alan Rivera, head of xenobiology, joined the conversation. We've learned more about the Kravak themselves. They're a hive mind species with a strict hierarchy. Their warriors are genetically engineered for combat, but they lack creativity. They follow patterns and protocols religiously. That's their weakness, Natalie added. They couldn't adapt when we used the solar flare against them. They've never faced a species that fights like humans with improvisation and desperation. Admiral Harris nodded slowly. We'll need every advantage. Latest intel suggests they'll arrive within 2 weeks. The room fell silent. 2 weeks to prepare for humanity's first interstellar war. What about other alien civilizations? Asked the Yao, Indian general. Surely the Kravak aren't the only ones out there. Could we find allies? Lieutenant Jack Porter, who had been working tirelessly to decode more Kravak transmissions, spoke up. We've been broadcasting distress signals on all frequencies we've identified from their communications. So far nothing, but... He hesitated. But what, Lieutenant? Admiral Harris pressed. There are references in their communications to something called the Galactic Council. Apparently it's some sort of alliance of spacefaring civilizations. The Kravak seem to have a complicated relationship with them. Could this council help us? Natalie asked. Jack shook his head. Unknown. But the Kravak seem to be operating independently in our sector. They refer to Earth as being in unclaimed space. So we're on our own, Admiral Harris concluded. Very well. The United Earth Fleet will be humanity's first and last line of defense. Dismissed. As the meeting ended, Natalie approached Susan Wright. How are the modifications to the Intrepid coming along? Susan smiled tiredly. She'll be ready. I've installed the new shield generators and plasma cannons myself. She's going to be our flagship, right? Admiral Harris wants me to command the main battle group, Natalie confirmed. The Intrepid will lead the charge. I'm coming with you, Susan said firmly. Those systems need an engineer who understands them. Natalie started to object, but then nodded. I'll clear it with Harris. We need every advantage we can get. 10 days later, the early warning system detected the Kravak fleet entering the outer solar system. Just as feared, they numbered in the hundreds, sleek, purple-glowing warships approaching in perfect formation. In orbit around Earth, 250 human vessels prepared for battle. They were a mismatched group, converted cargo ships alongside purpose-built warships, united under the New Earth Defense Force emblem. Admiral Harris addressed the fleet from the command station. Men and women of Earth, today we fight not for nation or creed, but for the survival of our species. The enemy believes us to be easy prey. Let's show them that humans are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Aboard the upgraded USS Intrepid, now renamed USS Defiant to reflect humanity's stance, Captain Moore prepared her crew. We'll use hit-and-run tactics, she explained, pointing to the tactical display. The Kravak expect us to form a defensive line around Earth. Instead, we'll split into mobile battle groups and attack from multiple vectors. Lieutenant Wilson at the helm nodded. Guerrilla warfare in space. They won't expect that. Exactly, Natalie agreed. Susan, how are the new systems holding up? Engineer Wright looked up from her console. Everything's green, Captain. The plasma cannons are charged and ready. As the Kravak fleet approached Mars orbit, a new signal appeared on long-range sensors. Captain, called Jack Porter from communications. I'm detecting 3 vessels entering the system from the opposite direction. They don't match any known configuration, Kravak or human. The unknown ships were sleek and silver, moving with incredible speed. They took position near Jupiter outside the coming battlefield. Are they responding to our hails? Natalie asked. No, Captain. They're observing but not communicating. Admiral, Harris's voice came through the comm. All ships maintain focus on the Kravak. We'll deal with the newcomers after we survive this battle. The Kravak fleet entered attack range, their formation perfect and unchanging. The first energy beams lanced out, catching several Earth ships unprepared. But the new shields held, buying precious time. All battle groups, execute Plan Thermopylae, ordered Admiral Harris. The Earth fleet scattered, breaking into smaller units that darted between the larger Kravak vessels. The Defiant led its battle group straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Fire all weapons, Natalie commanded. The upgraded plasma cannons burned through Kravak's shields, causing genuine damage. For the first time, the perfect formation of the alien fleet began to break as they turned to track the nimble human ships. From his command post, Admiral Harris watched the battle unfold. Despite being outnumbered, the human tactics were working. The Kravak, used to enemies who stood their ground, struggled to adapt to the chaotic human approach. Near Jupiter, the 3 silver ships continued to observe, recording everything. Unknown. To the humans fighting for their survival, these observers were representatives of the Galactic Council, sent to evaluate whether this new species was worth diplomatic contact, or if they would simply be another footnote in the history of species exterminated by the Kravak. So far, the Council representatives were surprised by what they saw. No developing species had ever held their own against a Kravak purge fleet. Perhaps these humans were something different, something unexpected. The battle for Earth had just begun, and the galaxy was watching. The day humanity arrived at the Galactic Council with battle-stained ships Part 3, the unexpected victory. The battle for Earth raged across the solar system. 6 hours in, humanity was still fighting, a fact that shocked the Kravak commanders. Their previous conquest had lasted minutes, not hours. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Captain Natalie Moore wiped sweat from her forehead. Damage report. Shields at 42%, reported Susan Wright from engineering. 2 plasma cannons offline, port thrusters damaged. Natalie studied the tactical display. Earth had lost almost 80 ships, but the Kravak had lost over 60 of their larger vessels. It was a better exchange than anyone had hoped for, but still not enough for victory. Captain Admiral Harris is hailing all ships, said Lieutenant Jack Porter. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, his expression grim but determined. All vessels, the enemy is adapting to our hit-and-run tactics. They're forming into smaller, more agile groups. We need a new approach. Sir, Natalie said, we've analyzed their communication patterns. Their ships operate on a hive network with command ships controlling each battle group. If we take out those command ships, the others might be disoriented. Can you identify these command ships, Captain Moore? Natalie turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant? Yes, Captain. They're the larger vessels near the center of each formation. They emit distinct communication signals. Admiral Harris nodded. Good work, but they're too well protected for a direct assault. Colonel Frank Martinez, commander of Earth's Space Marines, joined the conversation. Not for a boarding party, Admiral. My team can use the new stealth shuttles to approach one of the command ships while your fleet creates a diversion. There was a stunned silence. No one had considered boarding an alien vessel. That's suicide, Colonel, Admiral Harris said finally. Maybe, Martinez admitted. But if we can capture their command center, we might gain control of their entire battle group. It's worth the risk. After a moment, Harris nodded. Make it happen, Colonel. Captain Moore, your battle group will provide the diversion. All other ships will target their command vessels once identified. We need one more element, said Olivia Bennett, Earth's chief military strategist who had been studying the battle. Patterns. The Kravak formations have predictable patterns. They always prioritize threats by size and proximity, never by actual tactical importance. We can use that against them. How? Asked Harris. Send in our smallest, fastest ships equipped with signal amplifiers. Have them broadcast as if they're our largest vessels. The Kravak will divert forces to attack them, opening gaps in their defenses. Admiral Harris smiled for the first time. Clever. Make the preparations. An hour later, the plan was in motion. Small, nimble human ships darted toward the Kravak fleet, broadcasting signals that made them appear as capital ships. Just as Olivia predicted, the Kravak diverted significant forces to intercept them. Meanwhile, the USS Defiant led its battle group in a frontal assault on the largest Kravak formation. The humans fought with desperate courage, drawing the aliens' attention. Stealth shuttles away, reported Jack Porter. Colonel Martinez is on approach to the command ship. Natalie nodded, watching as the Defiant took another hit. The ship shuddered violently. Shields at 18%, Susan called out. One more direct hit and we're done. Evasive pattern delta, ordered Natalie. Keep their attention on us for 2 more minutes. The Defiant danced through space, drawing fire from multiple Kravak vessels. Across the battlefield, other human ships were doing the same, creating the biggest diversion they could. On the command ship, Colonel Martinez and his team of 12 Marines cut through the outer hull using tools modified from Kravak technology. They entered the alien vessel, encountering their first Kravak warriors face to face. The aliens were tall, insectoid creatures with 4 arms and chitinous purple armor. They moved with deadly precision but seemed confused by the humans' presence. Inside their ship, the Marines fought their way toward the command center, losing 4 of their team in the process. Finally, they reached the central chamber where 3 larger Kravak directed the battle. Take them alive if possible, ordered Martinez. We need their knowledge. The fight was brutal but quick. The Kravak commanders, unused to direct combat, were subdued. Using translation devices developed from Jack Porter's work, Martinez began interrogating them. Tell us how to disable your fleet, he demanded. The lead Kravak clicked its mandibles. Impossible. The hive will prevail. Martinez pressed a blade against the alien's neck. The hive is losing. Help us end this with less bloodshed. As they spoke, one of the Marines discovered the ship's central communication array, a crystalline structure pulsing with energy. Sir, the Marine called, I think this is how they coordinate their fleet. Martinez studied it. Can we use it to send our own signal? Maybe. It's connected to their version of a computer. Martinez turned back to the captive commander. Either you help us end this battle or we'll destroy this ship with you on it. The Kravak's compound eyes twitched. You would die too. We're prepared for that, Martinez said simply. Are you? Something the Kravak didn't understand flickered across its alien features. Perhaps the realization that humans would sacrifice themselves for victory. It was a concept foreign to their hierarchical society. The resonance frequency, the Kravak finally said. Change it, and the neural link between ships will fail. With the aliens' reluctant help, they modified the command. Ships broadcast. Immediately, Kravak vessels across the solar system began to move erratically. Their perfect coordination shattered. It's working, Olivia Bennett exclaimed from the Strategic Command Center. Their formations are breaking down. Admiral Harris seized the moment. All ships, target disoriented vessels. Press the advantage. Human ships swarmed the confused Kravak fleet. What had been a desperate defense became a counterattack. On the Defiant, Natalie watched in amazement as the tide turned. They're retreating. Indeed, the remaining Kravak vessels were pulling back, attempting to regroup beyond Mars. Without their command structure, they fell back on basic survival protocols. Colonel Martinez and his surviving Marines escaped the command ship before it self-destructed, bringing with them valuable data and 2 Kravak prisoners. As the battle ended, Admiral Harris addressed the fleet. This is not the end. The Kravak will return with a larger force. But today, humanity has shown that we will not be easily conquered. We've bought ourselves time and gained valuable knowledge. Near Jupiter, the 3 silver ships of the Galactic Council observers had watched the entire battle. Now they moved, closer to Earth, breaking their silence for the first time. Captain, Jack Porter called out, I'm receiving a transmission from the unknown vessels. It's in multiple Earth languages. On screen, ordered Natalie. A being appeared, humanoid, but clearly alien, with iridescent skin and large, wise eyes. It spoke in perfect English. People of Earth, we are representatives of the Galactic Council, a union of 27 spacefaring civilizations. We have observed your conflict with the Kravak with great interest. No emerging species has defeated them in battle for over 3,000 years. The bridge crew stared in silent shock. The Council requests a diplomatic meeting with your leaders. Your civilization has proven itself worthy of notice. As the transmission ended, a formal invitation followed. Coordinates for the Galactic Council headquarters and a request for Earth to present itself to the assembled civilizations of the galaxy. Humanity had won more than a battle. They had won recognition among the stars. The day humanity arrived at the Galactic Council with battle-stained ships Part 4. Journey to the Council. 1 month after the battle for Earth, preparations were underway for humanity's first diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. The United Nations had selected a delegation that would represent Earth to the stars. Captain Natalie Moore stood in the hangar bay of the USS Defiant, watching repair crews work. The ship still bore the scars of battle, hull plating patched with different metals, scorch marks from energy weapons, and exposed wiring in some corridors. Engineers had suggested using one of the newer, undamaged vessels for the journey, but Admiral Harris had been firm. "We go as we are," he had said. "Let them see the price we paid for our freedom." UN Secretary General Maria Kelly approached Natalie. She was a tall woman with silver hair and the dignified bearing of someone used to leading through multiple crises. "Captain Moore," she greeted. "Is your ship ready for the journey?" Natalie nodded. "As ready as she'll ever be, Madam Secretary. The new FTL drive is installed, and we've incorporated some of the Kravek technology we captured. Susan says we'll be twice as fast as before." "Good. We'll need every advantage." Maria gazed at the battle-damaged ship. "The Council offered to send one of their vessels to transport us, but we declined. Earth will arrive on its own terms." Dr. Alan Rivera joined them, carrying a data tablet. The xenobiologist had been studying the captured Kravak and the limited information shared by the Council representatives. "I've been reviewing what we know about the Council," he said. "It's fascinating. 27 species at various technological levels, some thousands of years more advanced than us." "And their policy on the Kravak?" asked Maria. Alan frowned. "That's the troubling part. The Council seems to have a non-interference doctrine when it comes to what they call natural selection events, essentially allowing aggressive species like the Kravak to attack developing civilizations." "Natural selection?" Natalie said, with disgust. "They watched us fight for our lives as some kind of test?" "Apparently so. The Council only interferes if a species proves itself worthy by surviving first contact with hostile forces." Maria's expression hardened. "Then we have much to discuss with this Council. When do we depart, Captain?" "Tomorrow, at 0800. The journey will take 2 weeks at our improved speed." The following morning, the USS Defiant led a small fleet of 5 Earth ships out of the solar system. Besides Natalie, Maria, and Alan, the delegation included Colonel Martinez, Engineer Susan Wright, Strategic Analyst Olivia Bennett, and Lieutenant Jack Porter, whose communication skills would be vital. As they engaged the FTL drive, Jack picked up a transmission from the Galactic Council representatives who had observed the battle. It was a data packet containing information about the races they would meet. "This is incredible," Jack said as he reviewed the data. "Some of these civilizations have been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. They've built structures the size of planets and harnessed the energy of entire stars. And yet they couldn't be bothered to help when the Kravak attacked us," Natalie remarked bitterly. "It seems to be a deeply held principle," Alan explained. "They believe that worthy civilizations must prove themselves through trial by fire. Any species that can't survive first contact with hostiles is deemed evolutionarily unfit for interstellar politics. A convenient philosophy for those already secure in their power," Maria noted. As they traveled, the delegation debated how to present humanity to the Council. Should they emphasize their military prowess, their scientific achievements, their diplomatic flexibility? "We should present ourselves as we are," Maria finally decided. "We are scientists and warriors, diplomats and survivors. We won't pretend to be something we're not to please the Council." On the 10th day of their journey, they received another transmission, this one from a Kravak fleet holding position near the Council homeworld. "They're demanding we be handed over for justice," Jack translated. "They claim we violated their territory and stole their technology." Natalie laughed without humor. "That's rich coming from a species that attacked us without warning." "It's a power play," Olivia explained. "The Kravak lost face when we defeated them. Now they're trying to save their reputation by painting us as the aggressors." "How do we respond?" asked Maria. "We don't," Natalie said firmly. "We continue on course and deal with this at the Council itself." 3 days later, the Earth fleet approached the edge of the Kravak blockade. 7 large purple vessels arranged in a pattern that would intercept any approach to the Council station. "They're hailing us," Jack reported. On screen appeared a Kravak commander, its mandibles clicking angrily. "Humans, you will surrender your vessels and submit to Kravak justice for your unprovoked attack on our scout fleet." Maria stepped forward. "This is Secretary General Maria Kelly of Earth. Your vessels attacked our exploration fleet without provocation or attempt at communication. We defended ourselves, as is our right. We have been invited by the Galactic Council and intend to keep that appointment." "You will not pass," the Kravak insisted. Natalie took the communication. "You've already seen what happens when you underestimate humans. We defeated your invasion force. Do you really want to start another fight here, in Council space?" The Kravak commander's compound eyes twitched. "The Council's non-interference policy prevents them from stopping us from executing justice." "Perhaps," Natalie replied. "But our ships are fitted with the same technology we used to defeat your fleet at Earth. Are you willing to risk another humiliation?" There was a tense silence. Then another communication channel opened, this one from the Council station beyond. "The blockade. Kravak vessels, this is Council security. The human delegation has been granted safe passage by unanimous vote of the Council. Stand down immediately." The Kravak commander's mandibles clicked in obvious frustration. After a moment, its ships began to move aside, creating a narrow corridor for the Earth vessels to pass through. "That was unexpected," Maria said quietly. "A unanimous vote?" "It seems we've made an impression already," Olivia observed. As they passed through the Kravak blockade, Natalie noted how the alien vessels tracked them with weapon systems. One wrong move would start a battle, but the Earth ships maintained steady course and speed, showing neither fear nor aggression. Finally, they reached the Council space station, an enormous structure orbiting a bright blue star. It was shaped like a giant ring, with sections clearly built by different civilizations using varied architectural styles. Ships of all shapes and sizes orbited around it. "It's magnificent," breathed Alan, staring at the view screen. "Look at the diversity of designs. Each section represents a member species. And soon one will represent Earth," Maria said. As they approached the docking bay indicated by Council control, Jack received one more transmission. "Captain Secretary General," he called. "The Council session to receive Earth's delegation has been upgraded to a full assembly. All 27 member races will be present." Maria looked surprised. "Is that unusual? According to this, it's only the 3rd full assembly in the last century. We're being given special attention." Natalie looked at her battle-damaged ship, at her crew still wearing uniforms patched after combat, and then at the pristine Council station ahead. "Good," she said simply. "We've earned it." The Earth ships docked at the massive station, and humanity prepared to take its place among the stars. The day humanity arrived at the Galactic Council with battle-stained ships Part 5, the day of arrival. The human delegation walked through the enormous corridors of the Galactic Council station. They were led by a tall, slender alien with iridescent skin who had introduced himself as Varian, a Council diplomatic liaison. "The Chamber of Assembly lies ahead," Varian explained in his melodic voice. "All 27 Council species await you there. This is a rare honor." Captain Natalie Moore walked beside UN Secretary General Maria Kelly at the front of the group. Both women wore their formal uniforms, but neither had tried to hide the hastily repaired tears and burn marks from the battle for Earth. Behind them came the rest of the delegation, similarly battle-worn but standing tall. "How should we address the Council?" Maria asked. "The High Speaker will recognize you," Varian replied. "You may then present your case for Earth's recognition." "Our case?" Natalie frowned. "I thought defeating the Kravak already proved our worth." Varian's large eyes blinked slowly. "It earned you this audience. Whether Earth is accepted as a Council associate is for the Assembly to decide." They stopped before an enormous set of doors that seemed to be made from different materials on different sections. Some metal, some crystal, some materials the humans couldn't identify. The chamber was designed so that each species contributed a section, Varian explained. It represents the unity of diverse civilizations. The doors opened silently, revealing a vast circular room. Rising tiers of seats surrounded a central, speaking platform. Each section was designed differently to accommodate the various physiologies of council members. Some had water tanks for aquatic species. Others had different gravity settings or atmospheric compositions. The room fell silent as the humans entered. Hundreds of alien beings from 27 different species turned to stare at them. Some looked almost human. Others were wildly different. Crystalline entities floating gas clouds contained in technological shells, insectoid creatures, and things that defied easy description. In one section, the humans spotted the familiar purple chitinous forms of the Kravak, their compound eyes fixed on the human delegation with visible hostility. The assembly recognizes the delegation from Earth, announced a booming voice. It came from the High Speaker, a massive being with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors, like oil on water. Secretary General Maria stepped onto the central platform. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am Maria Kelly, representing the United Nations of Earth. We come seeking understanding and recognition among the civilized species of our galaxy. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. You come, with weapons and battle scars, noted the High Speaker. Is this how Earth presents itself to the galaxy? As warriors? We come as we are, Maria replied firmly. These scars were earned defending our homeworld from unprovoked aggression. We would have preferred peaceful first contact, but we were not given that choice. From the Kravak section, their ambassador rose. The humans violated sovereign Kravak space and attacked our research vessels. They stole our technology and killed our warriors. They are primitive and dangerous. Captain Moore stepped forward. That is a lie. Your vessels attacked our exploration fleet without warning or attempt at communication. We were in unclaimed space, searching for new life and new civilizations. You responded with immediate violence. The chamber erupted in chittering humming and various alien sounds of discussion. Dr. Alan Rivera moved to Maria's side, holding his data tablet. With the Council's permission, I would like to present evidence. The High Speaker gestured agreement, and Alan connected his tablet to the Council's systems. Images appeared in the air above the central platform, recordings from the USS Explorer's final moments, showing the unprovoked Kravak attack. Furthermore, Alan continued, our analysis of Kravak communication logs captured during the battle for Earth reveals a systematic practice of eliminating emerging civilizations. He displayed translated Kravak messages discussing previous species they had cleansed from the galaxy. The chamber grew quiet. Is this true? The High Speaker asked the Kravak ambassador. It is our right. The ambassador clicked angrily. The Council's non-interference policy allows us to expand our territory and remove competitive species. This has been our practice for thousands of years, with the Council's implicit approval. Murmurs of discomfort ran through the assembly. Many representatives shifted uncomfortably, unwilling to meet each other's eyes. The High Speaker's skin darkened to a deep blue. The policy exists to test worthiness, not to sanction genocide. A convenient distinction, Natalie said clearly, her voice carrying through the chamber. One that allowed the Council to maintain its principles while watching countless civilizations be destroyed. There was a tense silence. Then a crystalline being rose from the middle tier. The human speaks truth we have long avoided. Our non-interference has become complicity. Other representatives began to voice agreement. The Kravak delegation chittered angrily, mandibles clicking in agitation. Secretary General Maria raised her hand for silence. We do not come to judge the Council's past policies. Earth seeks a different path forward. We propose that the non-interference doctrine be reformed, not abandoned, but amended to prevent the deliberate extermination of developing species. And what of Earth? Asked the High Speaker. What place do you seek in the galactic community? Earth requests recognition as a probationary member of the Council, Maria replied. We offer our unique perspective, a species that has known both conflict and cooperation, that has overcome its own divisions to stand united. Impossible, the Kravak ambassador chittered. They are barely spacefaring. They have not met the 1,000-year qualification period. Olivia Bennett stepped forward. If I may address the assembly? At the High Speaker's nod, she continued. Council records show 3 previous exceptions to the 1,000-year rule, all for species that demonstrated exceptional qualities. We submit that surviving a Kravak purge fleet qualifies as exceptional. The High Speaker conferred with representatives on either side. Finally, it raised all 4 arms. The Assembly will vote on 2 matters. First, on amending the non-interference doctrine as proposed by Earth. Second, on granting Earth probationary member status. The vote took place silently, each representative indicating their choice through their section's console. When it was complete, the High Speaker's skin shifted to a bright gold. The Assembly has voted to reform the non-interference doctrine with immediate effect. The deliberate extermination of developing species is henceforth prohibited under Council law. The Kravak delegation rose in protest, but the High Speaker continued. Furthermore, Earth is granted probationary membership, effective immediately. The Kravak are directed to recognize Earth's sovereignty and cease all hostile actions. As the human delegation left the chamber, many alien representatives approached them with gestures of greeting and respect. Captain Moore noticed several, smaller, less technologically advanced species watching them with what appeared to be hope in their alien eyes. We've changed something today, she said quietly to Maria. More than just Earth status. Yes, the Secretary General agreed. We've given a voice to those who had none. Back on the USS Defiant, the crew prepared for the journey home. They would return to Earth with news of their acceptance into a wider galactic community and the responsibility that came with it. As Captain Moore looked out at the Council station one last time, she reflected on the strange path that had brought humanity to the stars. They had come seeking peaceful exploration but had been forced to fight for their very existence. Now they returned not just as survivors, but as pioneers of a new galactic order. The battle-stained ships of humanity had become a symbol, a reminder that determination could overcome even the most established hierarchies. Earth had earned its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.